Welcome back to another episode of Catching Up with Coach. I'm Coach Roach, and a lot of things have been going on in Raptorland and in Blue Jay world because it's the off season. And the Blue Jays, what they have just come off of doing of almost winning the World Series by a couple of inches at home plate or in left field on Ernie Clement's hit. The Blue Jays are riding significant momentum right now, not just in baseball, but across the country. And of course, the Raptors now. The Raptors are kind of taking over this mantle of the feel good story of the Jays to now, hey, this Raptors team is pretty good. I was on some podcasts, Basketball Rewind, To the Point, and I've been asked a fair amount of times before the season started, what do you think the Raptors' record is going to be? And I said anywhere from 38 to 42 wins. I knew that they were going to be better because they've had a talent upgrade, especially when you bring in a guy like Brandon Ingram, who can get you 23 to 25 a night, which is pretty consistent with what he's doing now. Did I see this coming? No. Did many people see this coming? I don't think so. Well, some people lie and say, yeah, I told you so. Yeah, well, that's what people do. I never quite saw this coming per se, the way that this team has kind of gelled together offensively and defensively. They're top 10 offense, top 10 defense right now. And from the last 2 years, there was possibly the fact that probably not going to reach top 10 defense, top 10 offense as well, especially this early on in the year, but they're proving a lot of people wrong, kind of me, to be quite frank. And isn't this awesome to see? Isn't this awesome to not tank? And I get it. The 2026 draft looks unbelievable. It really does. And I've had conversations with Kenyon and beyond, and how, man, it would be nice to land a really good pick in this draft, but I'm a coach at the end of the day. Those guys will tell you, most people will tell you, go on spaces or podcasts. I freaking hate tanking. I hate everything that it stands for. So I am so glad to see the Raptors are doing well. They're just, you kind of wonder, when are they going to lose a game? Could be tomorrow, could be Sunday, who knows? But I think when they lose a game, and obviously they're going to lose another game, I think that's going to be the question of how resilient this team is. Because you can win a lot of games in a row. I've seen it in baseball, I've seen it in hockey, basketball, football. But when you lose that game, how does your team respond the next game? Do you kind of stay in a funk of losing? Or do you just kind of, okay, it's in our system, it's out of our system, now we move on? Now we're get back to our winning ways. And typically winning ways starts with your defense. The Raptors are a much better defensive team this year than I ever anticipated, especially seeing Darko's defense and Pat Delaney's defensive schemes over the last couple of years. It's like the defense never even existed, quite honestly. But this year, and I think if I heard this correctly today on the JD Bunkus podcast, Eric Smith was on. He was talking about kind of training camp. He said Darko was the most animated that he's ever heard him kind of in that setting before. Defense seems to be for real. I had a feeling that they were taking it more serious back in Summer League. They couldn't run offense to save their life during Summer League, but they played really strong defense and they picked up 94 feet. The good news that the adjustment that Darko and staff made, because let's remember, when this team was 1-4 to start the year, number one, they were at first trying to pick up 94 feet. You can't do that in the NBA. Like, we get Brandon Ingram and RJ Barrett pick up 94 feet and Grady Dick. Come on, it's not going to happen. And then they made adjustments. Like, no. We're going to play strong half-court defense. We will double. We will get in your face. We will challenge you. We will be physical with you. We'll get out in the passing lanes. And that's what they've been doing so far. I've seen Grady play some of his best defense as a Raptor. Scotty continues to play defense at a very high level. That's why I still think he's the MVP of the team. Even though we see what Ingram is doing on the court, especially as the number one option, I still think Scotty's the MVP of the team so far. Just what he's doing at both ends of the floor. Again, you notice him. Winning helps, absolutely, but I still think he's playing the best basketball of his career. I keep saying that because he is the franchise guy. Over the last couple of years, and I made this comment, and it wasn't so much to do with Scotty, but it was kind of when the team was struggling and he was struggling as well. I said, when we stop talking about you, that's when you need to be scared. When people just tune out and don't care. People are talking about what he's doing at both ends of the floor, what he's doing as a connecting piece, what he's doing around the basket. I'm not seeing him take a gajillion threes like I did last year, or Darko telling him to do that. He's playing his game. He's in the perfect role. I couldn't be happier for him and for this team. And the last point I'm going to make, Brandon freaking Ingram, the Notorious BI3. I remember when the trade went down. Understandably, it was confusing for a lot of people, including myself. Didn't quite see that coming. It was Masai's Hail Mary move. Hopefully, maybe to save his job. Maybe he did see himself on the way out regardless. But the move is starting to pay off. I've watched Brandon Ingram when he was at Duke, when he was the Lakers, with the Pelicans. Really liked him on the Pelicans when he was healthy. When he was playing with Zion and Lonzo, I thought they would have had a trio there that was going to do damage in the West for quite a while. Obviously, he was hindered with injuries for the last couple of years, and he is exactly what this team has needed since Kawhi Leonard. He is aesthetically pleasing to watch. He has like a pretty game when you watch him dribble, the shot form almost behind his head, which basically means it's very hard to block his shot. He's just scoring everywhere on the floor, mid-range, catch and shoot from three. I'm seeing him drive to the basket quite a bit. We saw him throw a dunk down on Ryan Kalkbrenner. Shout out to you, Mouth of the North. I know he's your guy, but Ingram did kind of put it down on him for sure. And this is just a really good basketball to watch. It looks like their half-court offense is really picked up. It looks much better. And I think it should with a guy like Ingram who can get you 25 a night, but he's been the missing piece. And I think my last point on Ingram, just when he was going at Siakam at the end of the game, and you see they're going one-on-one, and Ingram's crossing the ball over, and he's going left, and to get the pull-up over Siakam is like the new generation versus the old generation. I love Pascal Siakam, for the record, but when Ingram made that jump shot over him, I mean, that was a statement. That was a statement from the trade of Siakam leaving. Obviously, I didn't like it at the time because it's just Bruce Brown mainly coming back and a couple of picks. But eventually, Masai and Bobby did turn it into Brandon Ingram, Jacoby Walter, and Ochai Agbaji. And in hindsight, it's a good deal that they made. It just took a little while to get the right pieces in there. But Brandon Ingram's bringing a new energy, I think, not only to this team, but maybe to the city right now, or to Raptor fans in general. Again, they haven't really had a scorer like him since Kawhi Leonard. Siakam had his own way of scoring, particularly in the post. Great footwork, spin move, just a constant great work ethic. And Siakam's better defensively, I would say, or over the long term he has been. But I'm seeing Ingram actually play some defense this year. When you're getting him to play some defense in the half court, that's your coaching staff should be pleased. It means the players are buying in. You can have the best plays in the world. If you ain't got player buy-in, forget it. You're not going anywhere. And this group seems like that they're buying in as of now. So really encouraging to see. As we move forward away from basketball, if any of you are Blue Jays fans, it was a big week so far. The Jays signed Dylan Cease, 7-year deal, $210 million, the biggest free agent signing in the Blue Jays history. I'm not including Vladdy because Vladdy was already on the team. Dylan Cease, who I'm a big fan of. I remember watching him with the White Sox a few years back. He can really pitch. He didn't have a great year last year. He's got problems with walks, but when you look at some of the numbers, Dylan Cease has always had a terrible defense behind him whenever he's been pitching. What is the one thing the Blue Jays do well? They play defense. Jimenez is a great second baseman now, shortstop. Varsho was one of the top center fielders in the game. Vladdy's one of the top first basemen in the game. Cease has always been healthy too. That's one of the biggest reasons why they picked him up. Shapiro and Atkins love pitchers to get you 200 innings a year. The only difference with Cease is he'll strike out 200, 225 guys per season. And we haven't quite had that on the team. I think Kevin Gausman's been the closest. And there was a statistic shown since 2020, the two pitchers in baseball with the most, or first and second most strikeouts, Kevin Gausman and Dylan Cease. So these guys can really pitch. And Gausman obviously going into his last year. Shout out, James. I see you on here. Good to see you. And sorry, lost my train of thought. But Kevin Gausman leaving or potentially leaving after 2026. He's a free agent. We don't know about Barrios. He's got a player option, and Shane Bieber potentially is up as well. So the Jays had to make a statement play. They had to go get a guy, lock him up for a while. Dylan Cease is 29 years old. You got him basically until he's 36. Look, if he ages like Gausman, that contract's going to be aged very well. Now, a lot of the analysts and a lot of the people online say, oh, you overpaid for Dylan Cease. Hello, it's the Toronto tax. We have to overpay a little bit. But Dylan Cease is arguably the best pitcher on the market, him or Framber Valdez. Valdez, there's been talk about chemistry issues with him. You don't want to have that on a team that's competing for a World Series. I can tell you that. I've seen it time and time again in sports. You want to have a group that is really connected, and you especially want to have your pitcher connected to your catcher. So Alejandro Kirk and Dylan Cease, I'm sure will have a pretty good relationship. As Kirk, he's one of the best catchers in the game, especially at framing pitches as well. But Dylan Cease adding to this rotation, I see Gausman probably getting the ball on opening day. They'll do that out of respect, and I think he deserves it as well. Dylan Cease is probably your number 2 starter. And then it gets down to Bieber or Yasavage. I would probably have Shane Bieber. Again, that's just out of a respect thing, I think, for Bieber. He's done it before. He's been in the league a while. They might even pull back Trey Yasavage a little bit this season. That's what I've been hearing. Since he is a rookie, you don't want to overexpose him too much. You obviously want to give him a fair amount of starts, but if it gets into September or something like that, you go on 6-day rest. It's fairly common in baseball. I think that would be a good thing to do for the Blue Jays. James, you're right. I love Kirky too. I have a lot of family members. They just love Kirk because I think he kind of looks like your typical, somewhat male person, like not super athlete, not the big body, like muscular body, that kind of thing. But they just love him. He's a great hitter. He's a great contact hitter. And the last point I'm going to make before I end this live is Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. Well, technically it's Mr. Rogers' team and Mr. Rogers' money. He's not messing around. People will say what they want about Rogers in general, and I get it, but Rogers Communication is the second most valuable ownership group in baseball, behind Steve Cohen of the New York Mets. Rogers worth about $19 to $20 billion. Steve Cohen's worth about 26, I think it is. We got money. We can spend. And in baseball, one of the realities is, unless you draft and develop well, like the Tampa Bay Rays, the Oakland A's of the past, you have to spend money. And Mr. Rogers is opening up the pocketbook to spend money. And why this also may prove useful as well is they're taking over the Raptors come next year. If the Raptors are good this year, say they make the playoffs, they might be like, oh, okay, maybe you can go into the first luxury tax. We'll see. It's all about, kind of your baseline and making money. I get that. And I think just building on the momentum of the Blue Jays and being a few inches away from winning the World Series, you've got to spend now. I know James in the chat is saying they got to sign Bo back. I'm for Bo coming back, absolutely. There is a world, though, I don't see him come back, and that's going to be the next move. Is it Bo Bichette? Is it Cody Bellinger? Is it Kyle Tucker? I will say this, Kyle Tucker will be the most expensive one of the three. Bo will probably get more term than Bellinger, but Bellinger kind of can serve a need too. Bellinger can play the outfield. He can play center field as well. He can play first base. He can DH. You can move him all around the diamond, and the Jays like those type of utility players. So I'm not underestimating them going after Cody Bellinger or Kyle Tucker. Tucker will cost them more, but I do think Bo is their number one priority, but they're not going to wait around for him. If they have an opportunity to go and get Bellinger or Tucker, they'll probably do it. Or they trade for Ketel Marte. Katie Martell. It's something like that. Ketel Marte. I get it right this time. Second baseman, good contract for the next 4 or 5 years. He is a bit older, but that contract is like under $20 million basically, which pretty good for the numbers he puts up in Arizona. So that was just a little bit I want to add today, folks. Not a long live. Eventually going to have some people on and look at some more kind of things that happen in a basketball game that the Raptors are doing, or any other teams, quite honestly, that are doing great things on offense or defense. So thank you so much. James, shout out to you. Thank you for being in the comment section. I appreciate it. Please take care, everyone. We'll see you down the road.